Hello, you guys. You know what? What if your income goal wasn't just, I want more clients or I want more money, but instead a clear, simplified, step by step path that you could follow with confidence? Well, in today's episode, you'll see how quickly that kind of clarity unlocks freedom, momentum, and real results. And you might just be surprised at how simple that is to start. Hey there, Lens Legends. Welcome to another episode of the Portrait Profit Show, where we focus on the business side of photography, the real business challenges professional photographers face every single day. I'm your host, Jim Landers, your guide on the business side, and it's my mission to uplift portrait photographers to make a great income doing what they love. If you're new here, let me tell you a little something about what we're all about. This is where we cut through the noise and get straight to what actually helps you build a sustainable, profitable photography business. Each week on the Portrait Profit Show, you get tips and systems on the business side of photography that's designed to help you gain a mastery over marketing and sales, which is going to reduce the struggles that most photographers face so you can finally get what you deserve. This show is for photographers who feel they've got something to learn on the business side. So if that's you, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Portrait Profit Show. The Portrait Profit Show is brought to you by Digital Pro Lab and Landers Photography School. For Digital Pro Lab, Amanda and her amazing, wonderful team are going to make you look like a hero. And that's just by default, because Amanda hires fantastic people who love doing what they do. Yeah, you'll see the difference when you start working with them. If you already do, you know. If you haven't yet, I suggest it. Go to digitalprolab.com. In fact, I'll put that on the screen right now so you have that. Digitalprolab.com and order a print. You're going to be pleasantly surprised. Order a whole bunch because you're going to be impressed. And it's going to make you look like a hero to your clients. Digitalprolab.com. And the show is also sponsored by my company, Landers Photography School. And you can go to landersphotoschool.com to see some of the classes that I have. Now, I've written over 250 different classes. That's way too many to list on a website. So there's about 20 of them there, a handful. And if you'd like to just talk about it instead of going through a list, well, I'm happy to do that with you. Here's an address to do that. Go to calendly.com/photoschool. /15MIN. That's just a little private session just between you and me to talk about your goals, your direction, and see if I can help you with that direction. I want to encourage each of you to make comments and ask questions throughout today's lesson. And I want you to go to the comments right now and enter in #live. #live. That causes me to know you're watching us live right now on either Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or YouTube. We're simulcast to several different places. For those of you who are watching the replay, please enter in #replay, letting me know that you're watching the replay. Now, as always, and I'll mention this a couple more times, but as always, there's a handout for all of these lessons. And if you want the handout, all you need to do is one of two things. Either send me an email, jim@portraitprofits.com, and I can put that on the screen just in case, jim@portraitprofits.com, or just go to the comment section and enter in #handout. That will cause me to know that you want it, and I'll send it to you. Now, I do charge for it, but here's a cool thing. I send it to you with an invoice. If you like it, pay for it. If you don't think it's worth it, don't. I'm not going to keep an accounting of it. If you don't like it, I probably won't even remember. So totally up to you. It's on a value basis. If you think it's worth it, great. Take advantage of it. If not, then don't. You still have it. I'm not going to ask for it back. So take advantage of the handout today and on every one of these shows. We are zeroing in on one specific piece of a bigger process. The part where you stop thinking, I just want to make more. And instead, you start knowing exactly how much more, exactly the amount, and what it takes to get to that amount that you need to make. Most photographers never break it down this way. They guess at what they should charge. They hope they get enough clients, but they haven't defined what enough is. And they cross their fingers that the income, the numbers will somehow work out. Well, in this episode, you'll see how quickly you can reverse engineer your goal, whatever kind of goal you have, which replaces the guesswork with a simple step-by-step plan that tells you exactly what needs to happen to hit your goals. We'll start with a sample figure so you can see how the pieces fit together. Then we'll break it apart step by step so you can plug in your own numbers and create a plan that works for you. In this concentrated, action-focused version of strategies, we've covered these topics in other episodes. So if those were the full map, those other episodes, then today's route is something you can follow right now. I'll mention some of the other episodes that really do apply at the end of this lesson, just so you can look back at those if you want to. But I'll mention those at the end. Now, as always, I bring the presentation to you, and then I share with you what is coming up. And so we've got some fantastic episodes coming up, in addition to the fantastic one we have coming up at this moment. So stay around for that. If you're ready to hear today's lesson, would you do me a favor? Just write the word ready in the comments. And if you haven't already, enter in hashtag live. So hashtag live. And if you're ready to hear this today, enter in the word ready. You can put an exclamation point on next to it if you want to. Also, if you hear anything you like today or love or you think is funny, you know what? There's emojis for that. Click that like button, click that love button. I love seeing that. And a reminder, there's a handout every single one of these lessons. If you'd like it, and it is beneficial, I guarantee you. In fact, it's got more in it than I share during the show, just because I have a limited time for the show. But just send me an email at jim@portraitprofits.com or enter in hashtag handout in the comments section, and I'll send that to you. Now, I do that as a manual process, and so it won't come until after the show. Chapter 1. We're going to use the figure 10,000 per month for this demonstration. Now, that might not be the right number for you. Your number may be lower. Your number may be higher. All that matters right now is that I choose an easy number so that I can make the numbers make sense to you as I'm explaining it. So if you're taking notes, you can write down your number instead of mine, or you can write down mine and later enter in your own number. But we're going to use $10,000 per month for today's demonstration. Not because it's the right number for everyone, but because it's easy to follow and you can quickly swap the number out for your own income goal. If your number is higher or lower, it doesn't really matter because the process works exactly the same. You just plug in your own figure as we go. The important part is that you start with a specific target amount so that you can reverse engineer it, so you can figure out what needs to happen in order to reach that amount. When you have that number, the next step is to break it down. That means asking two simple but powerful questions. One, you're going to answer at what price point can I sell? And two, how many clients will it take to hit my goal at that price? Once you know those answers, the total amount, the price point, and how many, the rest becomes a matter of creating a plan to reach that specific number of clients. And that's far easier to wrap your head around than just saying, I want to make more money or I want more clients. which is what many people tell me when they start working with me. Maybe something that you're thinking right now. You don't go on a road trip without knowing where you're going. So why launch a business or a promotion without a destination? If you've got no destination, then most roads are going to look good. Think about it this way. When you go and visit a friend, you have a destination. And it is that knowledge, that clarity, that gives you the confidence that you'll get there. So if you're feeling a lack of confidence at times, maybe you haven't defined your destination. If you feel lost, if you feel a lack of confidence, well, here's your sign. Figure out where you want to go, and clarity will set in by default. Your photography business is just a tool. I'm going to say that one more time because I want to make sure that everyone hears this. Your photography business is just a tool, the purpose of which is to assist in building your ideal life. When you know two things, where you're going and the path to get there, you're going to eliminate that lost feeling forever. Make sure you hit that like button whenever you hear something you like. And are you feeling this? Give me a yes in the comments. If you haven't already, enter in hashtag live. But if you have already hit hashtag live, tell me yes, you're feeling this. You want to hear more. Chapter 2. Once you've set your target, the amount, the number you want to make, the next step is to reverse engineer it. So again, for this demonstration today, we're using the amount of $10,000 per month. If you're running a high volume based business model, some might call that a low ticket business model. I called it a high volume business model. Then your business is built to serve more clients in less time with a streamlined workflow. School photographers are one good example of that, but that's not the only example of it. And conversely, if you run a low volume photography business, then you're likely to invest more time into each client. But in doing so, you have no choice but to charge more for it in order to make that work. So whether your average sale is $250 or $2,500, this process works exactly the same way. The math doesn't care how high or how low your number is. What matters is that you're working with clarity and intention. First, choose a realistic price point for what you want to sell. For example, let me start off with an easy example. Let's say you have an average sale of $2,500. I'm using that number because it's taking 10,000 and divide that and you get 4 clients. So I'm choosing that number just to make the math easy. By the way, my average sale when I was doing this regularly was near 4,000. So 2,500 is absolutely a doable average sale, but it isn't the right choice for everyone. It just simply isn't. All of the numbers, the entire spectrum of numbers are appropriate most of the time. There's some of the lower ones that actually aren't, but it's a case-by-case basis. So if your average sale is $2,500, divide your target income goal, which we've defined in this demonstration as 10,000. So 10,000 divided by 2,500, that equals 4 clients per month to reach your income goal of $10,000. That's it. The math is simple. If you want $10,000, your average sale is $2,500, then you need 4 clients per month. If your average sale is higher, say $3,500, you'll need fewer clients. If it's lower, you'll need more clients. The point is, this turns a big, vague goal of wanting to make more into a clear target. You're no longer chasing more. You're working toward a specific number of clients at a specific price point. Now, let's back up for a moment. Many photographers do not know their average sale yet. So let's start with a price you believe you can sell your work at and adjust as you track real results. So we're going to choose a number today. You're going to choose a number today as you're watching this. It may be right. It may be wrong. You'll adjust that average amount as you track the results. We're going to talk about tracking your results today. The important part is to set the number so you can measure your progress and know when you've hit your goal. The moment you plug in your real numbers, whatever they are, that's the moment your guesswork ends. Because you'll know exactly how many clients it takes to reach your income goal and exactly what your weekly action plan needs to include in order to reach that income goal. Is this resonating with you? If it is, let me know. Put yes in the comments. Let me know. Tell me. And if you haven't already, enter in hashtag live to let me know that you're watching live. Also, of course, I like for you to hit that like button, hit that love button each time you hear something that you resonate with. And if you need any help with the suggestions that I'm giving today or any other business subject or photography subject, my private coaching sessions can help you choose and implement the right tools for your photography business. So you can get started with that same URL that I shared earlier. Let me share that again. That is, there it is, calendly.com/photoschool/15min. That takes you to my calendar. That way you can see what availability I have, cross-reference it with the availability that you have, and be able to set an appointment without having to call and call back and forth as trying to narrow it down. You just set it. It's easy. You've probably done this kind of thing many times before. And as always, there is a handout. And of course, I encourage you to take advantage of that. Just send me an email, jim@portraitprofits.com, or enter in hashtag handout in the comments, and I'll send it to you after the show. Chapter 3. Let's talk about what to do each week. Because now that you've figured out your client count, the number of clients you're going to have, and your price point, the average sale you're going to have, and we already know the 10,000 because we set that to begin with, let's create an easy to follow weekly plan. This is where we plan the actions that will lead to the results that you want. Whether you need 4 clients per month or 40, the framework doesn't change. It scales, but it doesn't change. Your weekly plan is the bridge between your income goal and putting all your steps on your calendar or your to-do list or both. So if your goal is $10,000 per month and your average sale is, say, $1,500, that means you need approximately 7 clients each month. And if you're running a high volume model, your average sale, let's say your average sale is 140. Maybe you do a lot of mini sessions. Then you will need, if your average sale is 140, you're going to need 70 clients per month. I'm sure most of you think that's a huge number, but that's what it takes in order to get to 10,000. So it's the reason why a lot of photographers won't go there. They just don't bother because it's a more difficult way to go potentially. It depends on the business model, and all the business models are good. They just aren't all right for what you're trying to accomplish. So for simplicity's sake, let's go with the high volume and say 7 clients, an average sale of 1,500. Now ask yourself this question. How many prospects am I going to have to engage in order to book 7 actual sessions? Because you know that not everyone who you cross paths with becomes a paying client, someone who books you. So, and let me define what that is. A prospect is anyone who expresses interest in any way in working with you. It could be just liking a post that you've made on social media. But of course, interest alone, well, it's not enough. They actually have to be the right fit. They have to be able to afford what it is that you're charging. They have to have a time frame that they're available at the time when you're available. You have to like them, because why do business with someone you don't like? You're a creative. If your energy tank gets drained because of working with someone who's difficult, that's not good for your future or your present. So don't put yourself in that position. So having a qualified lead is someone who is, they can afford you, they can make time for you, you like them, they like you. That's what makes them a qualified lead, not just a prospect. So you understand the difference between prospect and qualified lead. Now, if you've been running your business for a while, you might actually know this next thing, a conversion rate. Have you heard of this one? A conversion rate is what measures how many inquiries turn into bookings. If you don't know your conversion rate, and by the way, most photographers do not know their conversion rate, we're going to talk about how to track it and you'll know, but I don't expect you to know right now because most people don't. We'll use a conservative baseline. So let's say for every 3 prospects that you cross paths with, 1 becomes a paying client. They turn into a client. By the way, I consider a client, generally speaking, to be someone who pays, but that isn't a hard and fast rule. That means to book 7 clients, you're going to have at least 21 solid qualified leads per month. So your job becomes creating a consistent, repeatable process that gets 21 qualified leads per month. And I don't even want to do the math on the other one that needs 70. Because clearly that's 210 qualified leads per month. I don't want to have anything to do with those kind of numbers. I like spending time with my clients. And with those kind of numbers, I don't have a choice but to reduce it. So if you're running a high volume business model, and that's fine if you are, that's great if you are. High volume, generally speaking, means low or lower, relatively speaking, prices. But in order to make enough money, that $10,000 that we mentioned at the beginning, you have to have a large number of clients. You may not spend time visiting with prospects at all because it's just such a large number. So make sure you're hearing that correctly. You might be spending time with clients, but the higher the volume, the less time you have to spend with prospects. Instead, your goal is to guide your prospects through an online process that leads to a quick booking. And it's clear, and it doesn't require a conversation with you at all. This is something that's very easy to do. In fact, that's the way most mini sessions are done. Think of Santa pictures. Most Santa picture sessions don't require a conversation with the photographer in order to put them on the schedule. So I'm talking about that kind of a business model or that type of process at that point in time with that particular strategy. Now, the strategy changes, but the math doesn't. You still need to attract a specific number of prospects. Your method simply shifts from relationship building, if you're a high volume, to automation and efficiency. That doesn't mean that the low volume shouldn't be paying attention to automation and efficiency, because they should. But it is absolutely even more critical in a high volume business. Whichever one that you choose to do, I can help you out with either. And a lot of photographers actually choose to do a combination. They're not really just doing one of them. Some are solidly in the high volume business. Some are solidly in the low volume business, but probably the majority are some combination of both. But that's where your weekly actions come in, so that you attract and move prospects towards becoming clients. It's just part of the client sales process, which you really have to lay out so that it's clear, so that you can see it. And I would say create an illustration of your client sales process from the first time they're crossing paths with you all the way till you've delivered the final product. And I would say, and beyond, because there should be some kind of follow-up afterwards, because they're going to forget about you. You think, what? No, I did a great job. They're going to remember me forever. Come on. They've got a million things going on in their life. You're not the only photographer they know. There's a lot of them. You have to do things to keep yourself fresh on their mind. So yeah, there's stuff that happens after the sale too. Depending on how you run your business, these actions that we're talking about, in fact, let me lay those out. They might include reaching out to a strategic partner. I call it alliance relationships or alliance marketing. Maybe hosting a model call or running a referral program, posting a specific type of value content, following up with past clients, booking consultation calls, offering planning sessions, sending personalized messages. There's a lot of things that it could include. Again, I'm talking about your marketing process, your client sales process, which includes your marketing process. Whatever you have determined that works best in your specific situation. But instead of just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, you now know exactly why you're doing what you're doing. It's not about doing more marketing. It's about hitting a clear, qualified lead target so that you can hit a clear client target so that you can hit your income goal. Let's break this down once again. Your goal, $10,000 per month. Your average sale is whatever it is, but we're going to use the number 1,500. How many clients will you need in order to reach your $10,000 goal? Approximately 7 per month. How many leads are you going to have to get in order to get to your 7? Maybe it's 21. It's dependent on your conversion rate, and most of us don't know what our conversion rate is. So therefore, I'm going to do a 3-to-1 ratio just because that's not unusual. It depends on how good your marketing is, though. The more refined your marketing, the better that number becomes. The fewer leads you're going to need to get. And your weekly lead goal. This is qualified leads. So weekly, that number is going to be about 5. So 5 plus. So 5 plus times 4 weeks is 20 plus leads. That's the number that we need to hit every week, approximately 5. And why would that number be 5? It doesn't get us to 21, it gets us to 20. Well, because some months have 5 weeks in them. So 5 plus is the number that I would use for this particular scenario. Now, your weekly to-do list isn't a guessing game. You've just taken your income goal and broken it into simple, trackable actions. That's how you create momentum, not by doing more, but doing what causes you to reach your goals. Hey guys, is this helping? If it is, will you go to the comment section and tell me? You can just write something as simple as yes, or it's helping. Let me know. If this stuff is helping, I want to know that it's helping. If you like what I'm sharing, if you want to hear more of it, any of those things, hey, tell me. That's what the comment section is for. Also, that's what the likes and the loves are for. Whenever you hear something you like, if you're, by the way, if you're watching us on, let's say, Facebook, if you're just in the middle of a scroll and you've stopped to watch, then it actually doesn't register you. You can watch it that way. But if you click on the video, it actually does register you, and you can actually make comments that will show up in my feed. so that I can see what you're saying and maybe even react to them. I can see a bunch of you have commented already. And let me give a couple of shout outs while I'm looking at this. So I see Rick and I see Janice and Terry and Robin, and oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I don't see any questions just yet, so I don't have anything to address, but thank you guys for being here and watching. I appreciate that. By the way, if you want additional help with this, then just reach out to me. Let me put that address on the screen again. You might want to screenshot it because I don't leave it up there for very long. But this is the address, the URL that goes to my calendar. And all you need to do is go to that URL, click on a date that and time that you that's available on your calendar, and we talk via Zoom about your situation, whatever it is that you're going through, the direction you want to head. We'll talk it through. That's what that's for. And it's free. I don't charge anything for it. It's just one of the services I provide, just like the show. One of the services I provide. Don't charge a thing for this. All right. Chapter 4. You now have the plan. You know how many clients you need. You know what your average sale needs to be. And you know what kind of weekly actions are going to get you to your income goal. Now, I want you to track this so that it helps you see exactly what's working and what's not, and where your attention needs to go next. Because without tracking, you're guessing. You're feeling your way through it. With it, well, you're in the driver's seat. You're making decisions based off of real numbers, not feelings, not comparison to other photographers. So let's say you're aiming for the number we talked about earlier, 7 clients this month, which means you need to generate at least 21 qualified leads. This breaks down to approximately 5+ leads per week. So by tracking what happens week by week, you'll spot patterns, and you'll spot them quickly. You'll see what's gaining traction, what's kind of falling flat, and where your efforts are actually paying off. If your numbers are off, tracking helps you see where they are off. So maybe you didn't reach out to enough prospects. You didn't cross paths with enough prospects. So maybe the prospects you're attracting weren't a good fit. Or maybe the actions that worked in the past, last month, didn't seem to work as effectively this month. Whatever it is, tracking gives you the clarity to adjust so that you can make changes that are actually going to have potential to fix the problem. Let me give you a few key things to consider that photographers are tracking. You don't have to track all these. If they apply to you, great. There's going to be some things on the list that you resonate with. There's going to be some things on this list that I'm about to share with you. There's going to be some things that you want to add to your own list that I'm not sharing with you in this list. This is just a few things that photographers might track. About how many prospects you attracted this week. How many prospects that you were actually able to engage with. If you're a low volume, how many planning sessions or consultations, whatever you call it, did you book? How many sessions were booked? How many sessions you photographed? How many sessions you delivered that are done? How much income that you generated? What marketing actions that you completed? What results those actions have produced? There's a lot. I want you to consider this, though. Not all effort is equal, because not everything you do produces the results you need for them to do. Just because something feels like it works, it doesn't mean it's actually working. You probably have experienced that before. That's why tracking is so powerful, because it separates effort and feelings from results. You'll start to notice which actions consistently have led to bookings and which ones are really just keeping you busy. Example, maybe you post 5 times a week on social media and it feels productive. You're working. But if you recognize it hasn't brought in any leads, then how is that effort moving you forward? Tracking helps you measure effort and effectiveness. So you continue what's working and you tweak what's not, or you decide to stop what's not. It just depends on the conclusion you have based on the data that you collect. This is a simple and effective way to reflect at the end of each week. Make this process simple enough that you'll actually stick with it. You don't need to build a complex spreadsheet. You just need a reliable way to review your numbers weekly and decide things like, am I on the right track to hit my goals? What did I do this week that created momentum? Or maybe more simplified, what's working? Or how about, what do I need to change going forward? Did I hit my weekly prospect target? There's a lot of other things, but those are some ideas. This weekly reflection should be really quick. Maybe when you're first setting it up, it's going to take a little bit of time to do that, and you're going to tweak it to make it better as you go. But once you get it going, which won't take long, this weekly reflection should be very quick. So if it's taking you 30 minutes or an hour or hours, you're doing something wrong. In fact, the simpler it is, the more likely you're actually to use it. So just make sure it gives you a quick, honest snapshot of how well your actions are lining up with your goals. You know what? Think of it this way. If your income goal is the destination and your calendar is the map because you're putting things on it to keep yourself on track time-wise, then tracking is GPS. It tells you if you're still on the right road and that you're headed in the right direction on that right road. Because we have all been going on the right road and realized we were going the wrong direction on it. We've also realized times when we weren't even on the right road. This eliminates that, or it reduces it to the point where you can notice it quickly enough where it's not harming you. Because if you realize you took a wrong turn, well, at least you found out quickly. You just course correct and keep on going, keep on keeping on. That was something that was said by a sales mentor. Oh man, so long ago, probably 25 years ago. He would say, keep on keeping on. You're not tracking numbers for the sake of being analytical. You're not obsessing over the numbers. This is about staying aligned to your goals so that you can build your ideal life on purpose, with your photography business working as the tool that helps you get to your ideal life. When you track your actions and your outcomes each week, you'll see progress sooner than other photographers will. You'll stay focused longer. You'll make decisions with confidence. And we all want that. You know, if there's anything that I've said that you resonate with, that you can use as a takeaway, will you share that with me in the comments? Let me know. I want to know what's resonating with you. Tell me what that is. If you haven't already, enter in #live. If you haven't had a chance to hit that like or that love button, I love that stuff. If I'm saying something that's funny, hit that. If you don't like something I'm saying, hey, there's an angry button. Hit it. I'd actually prefer you didn't, but I want the truth. I care more about that than anything. Chapter 5. Sometimes your plans don't go according to plans. So let's talk about that. What happens when you follow the plan based on those real numbers, your income goal, your average sale, and the number of qualified leads you need to reach the goal each week? And you find that it's not working. Yeah. Even if you've done this before, you've experienced that. You did the outreach, the posts, the phone calls, the emails, the follow-ups. You followed through on your marketing tasks. You had conversations at every turn. And you're not getting the results you want. Anybody there? Maybe the inquiries weren't turning into bookings. Or the bookings aren't bringing in the average sale that you projected. All right. These are examples of a moment when you'll be tempted to second guess everything. We're going to think as creatives, we're going to see the worst at this moment, but you may think, maybe my prices are too high. So you cave on your prices. Maybe you think, well, maybe this just doesn't work in my area. I'm looking at an example of someone somewhere else and it seemed to work for them, but maybe it doesn't work in my area. And hopefully you're not coming to the conclusion of, well, maybe this just isn't for me. Well, let me say this. Doubt is normal. You're going to have those thoughts. Second guessing yourself, normal. But planning is essential. But planning isn't perfect. A plan is your best estimate based on the information that you have right now. When it doesn't go the way you thought it would, that's not failure, that's feedback. It's a signal. When something doesn't go as expected, it could be just as simple as one of your variables might need tweaking. This is why I'm suggesting that you track these variables, because tracking illuminates which part of the plan needs your attention. Otherwise, you're just guessing, and that gives you a lack of confidence. Don't go there. That's not good for creatives. And yet, too many of us put ourselves there by accident, but it's because of our own inaction. Not that we're not acting at all. We are. We're working hard. Photographers are hard working. They're giving their blood, sweat, and tears. They're giving it everything they've got. But if you give everything you got going down the wrong road, you will never get to where you're going, no matter how hard you work. We need to analyze this stuff. We need to track this stuff. So let's say that you didn't hit your income goal last month. Start by looking at your numbers and begin to analyze. Think of questions like, did I generate enough qualified leads? Did leads show up and engage? Did those leads convert into bookings? Did the bookings bring in the average sale that I planned for? Each of those is a potential pivot point. And when you know which piece did not perform, you know exactly what it is that you need to adjust. So let's say that you didn't get enough qualified leads. Your marketing plan may need more visibility. Maybe it needs a stronger call to action. This is something I see in ads often, is your target market doesn't know what they're supposed to do next. They're like, oh yeah, I would like that. And then the next thing as they're scrolling catches their attention because there wasn't anything there to tell them what they're supposed to do next. We have to evaluate those kinds of things. If people showed interest but didn't book, you may need to revisit your messaging or your booking process. If they booked but didn't invest at the level you expected, it could be time to refine your sales presentation or adjust what's included in your packages. By the way, Anytime I say sales, if I'm talking to someone, if I'm talking to a group, there's always at least one person that has "Ooh," because photographers a lot of times, maybe more are than are not, are uncomfortable with sales. But it's because of the preconceived idea that you have, not because of sales. It's you. Your understanding of sales is that slick salesperson who's trying to sell you something and making you uncomfortable. That's not the example of sales. Let me give you the definition of sales. If you've been watching the show, you've heard me say this multiple times. Sales is helping someone else get what they want. That's it. Everything else you've experienced is just an experience that you've had that has had an impression on you. And somehow you've allowed it to adjust the definition. Sales is helping someone else get what they want. You know what? All of us portrait photographers, that's something we want. Salesperson. So there is no shame in something not working the way you hoped. Every successful photographer that you admire has had to do this over and over, making tweaks. They looked at what wasn't working and made an intentional adjustment, but they kept on keeping on. Here's let's call it the rhythm of running a photography business. Plan, take action, measure, adjust, repeat. I'm going to say it again, just in case you're taking notes. Plan, take action, measure, adjust, repeat. You're learning how business works. You're learning how your business works as you're doing this. You're discovering what resonates with your ideal clients. And you're gaining the insight that only comes from the experience gained through your actions. You build a business one purposeful step at a time. I should add in the word successful there. You build a successful business based on one purposeful step at a time, because you're defining what success is. And you're breaking it down into its parts. Using real feedback and your data, because that continues to get better as you go. So therefore, you get really good at planning in a relatively short period of time. And if you need help with that, that's what I'm here for. That's what I do full time. So reach out to me. I can help with this kind of stuff. And again, if you want the handout, just let me know. Send me an email, jim@portraitprofits.com, or just enter in hashtag handout in the comments section. Let's bring this show to a close, and then I'm going to share with you what the upcoming shows are. And you're going to want to know what they are. You're going to like them. If you've followed along through each step of this lesson, then you now have something most photographers never take the time to create. A plan. Not a wish, not a hope, not a feeling, not a comparison, a real plan. One that starts with a specific income goal and leads straight to a focused weekly to-do list that you can actually follow. And the best part, you know now how to repeat the process with any number at any time for any type of project. Whether you're planning for a cash injection because you have a bill coming up, you're doing a seasonal promotion, which We're going to be talking about that very specifically in just a couple of weeks. Or your next growth milestone. The framework doesn't change. It simply scales. Plug in your new goal, update your numbers, and you'll know exactly what needs to happen each week in order to reach it. But don't confuse this laser-focused income plan with the whole system. That's not what this is. What we covered today is just one critical piece of a much bigger picture. So if you want the more full roadmap, the one that connects your purpose with your pricing and your brand and your marketing, then I want you to revisit episode number 92, How a Busy Person Makes an Extra $10,000 per month in Portrait Photography. This was originally released on November 21st, 2022. So this is episode number 92. Just go back and you'll find it. And you can do that on Facebook. You can do that on YouTube. I think you can do it on LinkedIn. I'm not sure about that one, but at least the YouTube channel and the and Facebook. Now we are simulcast to Instagram, but Instagram deletes each one of these the moment we go offline. This is a live show. The moment we go from live to ending the show, that's the moment Instagram deletes it. So therefore, you're not going to see any past shows on Instagram. So only the YouTube channel under Portrait Profits and the Facebook page, which is also called Portrait Profits. That episode is where we laid out the entire journey. So think of that episode as the full map and think of today's lesson as the turn-by-turn directions that get you moving right now. Now, it would also be helpful to look at two others. Your Guide to a Profitable Low-Volume Portrait Photography Business. This was episode number 159 on March 18th, 2024. So Your Guide to a Profitable Low-Volume Portrait Photography Business, episode number 159 on March 18th, 2024. And I also would recommend one that was right about that same time. You know what? I think I just told you just slightly wrong. So it was episode number 156 was Your Guide to a Profitable Low Volume Portrait Photography Business. That was episode number 156. That was February 26, 2024. The one that I mentioned, the episode I mentioned, 159, is Perfect Price List. And that is one I want you to look at. Perfect Price List, episode number 159. Both of those that was February and March of 2024. And you've got your route using the figures, the numbers that I gave you. Now is the time for you to hit the road and get on that path. If you need any suggestions, my private coaching sessions are going to help you choose and implement the right tools for your business. So take advantage of that URL I gave you earlier. I'll put it up one more time. This is the last time I'm putting it up, because I want to tell you about some things that are coming up. So at the end of next month, this is not one of my Portrait Profit shows. This is an event that's happening at Digital Pro Lab. In fact, I'll put something on the screen for that. Oh, that's really small, isn't it? There's a little bit bigger version of it. So Digital Pro Lab is hosting KEH Camera. This is a used camera company. So you can bring in your used equipment. They'll buy it from you right then and there, write you a check, and it's yours. Or you can just do a trade-in and get credit at Digital Pro Lab, and they'll add an extra 10% to that money. So awesome deal either way. So go, this is, you can probably see it on the screen, but it looks really small. So October 24th and 25th, this is a Friday and a Saturday, October 24th and 25th. Put this on your calendar, because KEH will buy your used equipment. You just bring it to them. They give you a price, which is a fair price. It is. It's really fair, and it's really easy. It's ridiculously easy to do business with KEH. So this is at Digital Pro Lab on Friday and Saturday, October 24th, and 25th. So now I want to share with you the upcoming Portrait Profit shows. As you know, the Portrait Profit show happens every single Monday. So let's talk about the upcoming shows. On September 22nd, that's 1 week from today at noon, and let me put up that description, the text description of it. This one's called $4,000 Productivity Secret. This is episode number 238. What if I told you that one idea made a steel industry titan so productive that he sent a consultant a check worth over $400,000 in today's dollars? This did happen a long time ago, so that wasn't the number. That's in today's dollars. On this episode, 1 week from today, we are going to uncover that secret and adapt it so that you can grow your photography business with clarity, focus, and speed. 1 week from today, put it on your calendar. You've got a million things going on in your life. You won't just remember. Put it on your calendar. 1 week from today, Monday, September 22nd at noon. Then 1 week after that, this is one that I mentioned before about special promotions or seasonal promotions during the episode today. This is what this one is about. It's 10 steps to an effective promotion. Now, what's a promotion? It's just you have say a mini session, and a seasonal is something that is oftentimes how it's used. You can say that, a good example is Santa pictures. It could be pictures in flowers. It could be pictures in the park. It could be some special project you're working on. Running an effective promotional campaign might feel like waking up from a fantastic nap, but it could also feel like a roller coaster that makes you feel a bit queasy. We experience different things. We're going to turn that wild ride into a scenic tour by slow train that you'll have your business going smoothly down the track because of these 10 steps are going to make your next promotion your best promotion. It's 2 weeks from today, September 29th at noon, Monday, September 29th at noon, 10 steps to an effective promotion. And I'll share with you one more before we close things out today. On October 6th at noon, this is milestones. And I don't have the image for that one, but milestones on the professional photographer's path. This is episode number 240. When you begin your business, you hit a lot of milestones and you did it quickly. And that's thrilling. For instance, naming your business, buying your first professional level camera, getting your first paying client, finishing your first website, your first social media post. These moments fuel you and keep your creative energy tank at full. But as you continue the business, those milestones happen less often. And without that fuel for your creative energy tank, it can feel like you've stalled, even when you haven't stalled. So in this lesson, we'll uncover the many milestones photographers hit throughout their career, especially the ones that you might not have even thought to celebrate. Put that on your calendar. October 6th, Monday, October 6th, milestones on the professional photographer's path. Put these free lessons on your calendar. Do it now. You're going to forget. You're busy. You've got a lot of things going on. Put it on your calendar. That way you don't forget. I want to thank you, Lens Legends, for joining me today. This planning stuff isn't something that all photographers enjoy, but it is the kind of work that gives you freedom, confidence, and the results that you can build your business on. Because with this kind of planning, you're no longer guessing or feeling your way through. You're driving with a destination in mind. Until next Monday, Lens Legends, keep putting purpose behind your plan. Because when you know where you're going, how to get there becomes more clear. You gain confidence, and you will never feel lost again. For Landers Photography School and Digital Pro Lab, I'm Jim Landers, the host of the Portrait Profit Show, where we spark passion and build thriving businesses. Until next week, Lens Legends, keep creating those powerful emotional connections that change lives, yours and your clients. Man, I believe in you. And I look forward to watching you grow. You guys are awesome. You rock. Bye for now.